Anyway, morning everybody. We are the city of happy Mondays, but I certainly feel this is a happy Monday. You bring a sort of unique positivity to things, Eve, and I think you've really set the right tone for today. I think this is a real positive conversation we can have about how we go up a level, really, how we go up a gear in terms of our walking and cycling ambitions, because Greater Manchester is on the cusp of quite big change. And I'm going to take you through some of that in a moment. And it's an opportunity to put forward to the Greater Manchester public a very different vision of how we move around the city region, how we move around our communities. And we've got to take it. We've got to take this moment in time and really make a big change. We have been a city region kind of focused on the car for as long as we've all been around on this call. And by the way, it's brilliant to see people from so many different organisations across our 10 boroughs. You know, real diversity mix of organisations on the call. So brilliant that you're all part of this GM Moving revolution, this growing movement. And thanks for joining. But we have, I think, this moment that really will never come again. Just to say something about the last year, it has been really tough, Eve, as you say. But I think people are thinking differently. They're thinking differently about space, actually. You know, how do we prioritise space? Who gets access to the space? Are we correctly prioritising space? So when we've all been living in a world of social distancing, I think you will have all felt that, won't you, when you're out and about and you know, trying to ensure that all users of the highway have got their space. I was out running the other morning, and something happened. I'll just share it. In some ways, a small incident, but not in another way, where I was just coming to the end of my run, and there was a man in a mobility scooter who couldn't get past on the pavement because a car had parked on the pavement. And a group of people, dog walkers and runners, walkers, cyclists, stopped to say to the bloke how wrong it was that he'd parked there at the top of a path where everybody uses it. And I just think people are thinking differently about prioritization of space, and you know, that's a really, really positive thing. I remember a couple of years ago when the debate was building about pavement parking, when Chris Boardman first said to me we should take a tougher line on it. I was thinking, ooh, as politicians have to do, will we get a backlash from the the community? Because let's be honest, politicians have all been they've always had this sort of the car and the drive. You can't do anything to penalise drivers. It's massively changed even in those 2 years, and I think people do want a reprioritisation of space in favour of people who are walking, people who are cycling. The other thing that I think that's happened is clearly that people have better understanding of the value of daily movement, of access to open air, to green space, and what that does to your mood, your sense of well-being. I've said this to Eve and to Hayley. We've all kind of had an approach really where we've sold physical activity on the benefits to physical health. It will help you, perhaps lose some weight. You kind of manage your kind of heart condition better, you less risk of diabetes. All of those things are important, by the way. But the benefit to me is the instant hit that you get from the lift to your mood. You can make yourself feel very different and much better immediately if you go out for a walk or a run or a cycle. And that, I think, is such an important message now. The link between physical activity and mental health, I think, is better understood by the public because of the year that we've been through, and we need to build on that now, and to get people to keep baking it into their daily routine. So this kind of brings me even to the opportunity that I described, because we are on the cusp of big change to the transport system. So you will see in the media that we're moving towards a decision on the future of buses in Greater Manchester quite soon, and I'm obviously considering the options that we have at the moment in terms of how we get to where we want to get to. But we know where we want to get to. whichever route we take, and that is a London-style public transport system. So imagine Metrolink quadrupling in size, if I can put it this way, because it all becomes one single all-electric system where it's buses and trams in an integrated system, which has a cap on what people can spend in any given day, like London. And therefore, all communities can travel much more cheaply on public transport and get across the city region in a way that they couldn't do before, or they can't do now, I should say, in this very fragmented system that we've got. So when you have a public transport system that is much more affordable, finally we can encourage people to sort of break their dependence on the car. And when we're bringing through, obviously, the infrastructure that Chris will talk about, the B network, a bike hire scheme, a quality bike hire scheme that will land in Greater Manchester later this year, we've got the opportunity here to say to people, here's the chance to move very differently, where you are making your first mile or your last mile walking or cycling, active travel, and then you can board an integrated public transport system that can get you right across the city region without it costing you a fortune, and it be reliable and a good system to use. So we're on the cusp of that change, and I think what we need to do is sell the whole, if you like, sell people the big picture, Eve. About how this will empower people to change their life, to change how they move, and it's a vision for a city region that is healthier coming out of the pandemic, because people are moving more, and that isn't just physically healthier, it's mentally healthier as well. And I keep coming back to that, linking more movement to mental health, I think, is such an important message in these times. And also then all of us benefiting from what comes from that: less traffic congestion, less stress, cleaner air, and obviously we are moving forward with our plans for the clean air zone as well. So change is coming, that is definite now. There's just no doubt about that. The question is, can we maximize the opportunity that the change brings? And I just want to say something about networks and why I consider this movement, as I called it at the start, GM Moving, why I consider it to be so important. What I've learned in my 4 years as mayor, working with the incredible strength that we have in Greater Manchester across the 10 boroughs, with organisations, public, private, voluntary, community, networked and working together. What I've noticed is, if you really kind of drive that collaboration and you empower people from the bottom up, you actually then can make real change happen. So look at homelessness and what we've done there when we created the Homelessness Action Network. What that did was, it's simple, but it just created a new conversation across all of the different organisations, some of which previously maybe were ploughing their own furrow and doing good work, but kind of a little bit in isolation. When you network people in that way and you get everybody pulling in the same direction, it's incredible the change that kind of flows from that. And we've seen transformation really in terms of how we think and talk and act on homelessness in Greater Manchester. And I think we need to sort of take that principle and apply it to all of the missions that we have as a city region, be it feeding our kids to make sure that no child goes hungry, or in getting everybody more active and supporting them to be more active. And it's not just about people cycling, it's about people out with a double buggy trying to navigate the streets. It's somebody in a wheelchair, it's somebody on a mobility scooter, whatever it might be. It's getting everybody out and about, an activity for everybody, and having a network of organisations and people across the city region that are driving that change from the bottom up, starting with place and community, and making the change happen. And I'd be interested today, Eve, if people could give some thought to how we make it a kind of a sort of mass campaign, because we had the Active Souls revolution, didn't we, where I gave permission for people in the kind of public sector in Greater Manchester to come to work in their trainers. And it was great to see people sort of sharing pictures of themselves at work in their new trainers or posh trainers that some people bought to take part in it. How do we make that sort of a mass kind of campaign, where we get everybody to sort of be part of that Active Souls campaign, and we make it a thing that becomes something that everyone feels a part of. So that would be great if we could do that. But Eve, I'll leave it there. I hope some of the things I've said have provided some food for thought. We definitely are on the cusp of big change, and we've got to make it the right change that benefits people, change that improves their lives, their health in every respect, particularly their mental health. We make this place a more livable place, cleaner, greener, and all of the benefits that will flow from that. So I'm going to hand back to you, Eve. I'm sorry I can't stay for the whole event this morning, but we'll be really, really kind of eagerly waiting to hear what you've all discussed and agreed today, and how we build this network out, empower it, make it stronger, and lead the GM Moving revolution to new heights. So I'll leave it there, and I will hand back to you.